off your engine!
Well, the car companies are pulling out all stops now with coronavirus stuff. Turns out that Toyota in other countries has now started a balloon payment plus option. For example, in the Philippines, they're selling the Corolla Cross Hybrid, where you can have a balloon payment on the end, like if you have a house with a balloon payment, right? Well, instead of putting your down payment on in the front of the car, you pay it at the back end of the car. They started it last month to help sell cars in the Philippines. They're only doing it on 2 particular models. It's an experiment. It only started last month. But it's a deal where, they know people are short of money, so if you got a 3-year payment, you don't owe the down until it's over at the end. Kind of flips things backwards because, originally the idea of a down payment is, well, if you got at least enough money to put on a down payment, it shows good faith that you have money. Well, now, I guess they don't care about that. And they'll take it on the back end instead of the front end. They're testing the water with the Toyota Cross Hybrid. The hybrids cost a little bit more money, so there's more money involved. And I suppose if it works, then they'll branch out to other ones. Kind of interesting now, even cars are getting balloon payments, I guess because they're getting as expensive as houses. Truthfully, I have customers that have paid more for their car than I paid for my house. Of course, that was 45 years ago too, but hey, that's life, The cars are catching up with houses now. Well, finally, Nissan's given a little bit back for their crappy cars. Turns out that Nissan Transmission and the Nissan company have a class action lawsuit each for the CVT transmission, and they're mailing checks out to people. Nissan's doing one, and the CVT transmission by the Nissan Transmission by Jatco is paying for it. Now, it's not much. The one about the CVT transmission, they're giving up to $1,100 back. It's a freaking joke, because if you have a Nissan CVT and it breaks and you have to have it replaced or repaired, it's going to cost you anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, depending on the vehicle, right? Here they are, up to $1,100. These class action suits, they always screw the people over who have had problems. It's ridiculous, $1,100 for something that could easily cost $3,000 to $5,000 to fix. But, that's when the lawyers get involved. I'm sure they're taking their cut. Now, included in this are all U.S. residents who've owned an Altima from 2013 to 2016. They'll be mailing you this check, as long as your Altima had a CVT transmission. And like I said, kind of a raw deal. You got a crappy car with a crappy transmission, you might have forked out $3,000 to $5,000 to get it fixed. Oh, and they're giving you a maximum of $1,100 back. You expect it from these corporations. You never get a fair deal. And then the other class action suit was against Nissan, that the CVT transmissions were bad. Nissan knew it was bad. They were selling to people in fraud. Well, here comes the laugh or settlement from Nissan over that. They're giving the people a $1,000 voucher towards the purchase of an Infiniti or a Nissan, just a voucher for $1,000 off. I mean, it's getting to be ridiculous. Like, you bought a piece of crap, and they don't admit they did anything wrong. As it says, Nissan denied the claims that they built them wrong and knew about it, but they're offering this $1,000 voucher as a settlement. They never admit that they did something wrong, but they're offering $1,000 towards the purchase of another one of their crapper mobiles. Now me, who would be stupid enough to buy one of those piles of junk, and then as a settlement, you get a voucher to buy another one of those piles of junk at an inflated price, but you get $1,000 off. Well, you know what I say to Nissan? You're giving a raw deal to consumers. You know what I say to everybody out there? Don't buy one of those piles of junk. That's how you get even. Do not buy one. Don't, well, they gave me a voucher for $1,000 off. Or, well, they gave me $1,000 back, but I spent $3 having the transmission fixed. It amazes me. It goes on in these courts. The lawyers and the judges all getting together. It's just too much. It just breaks me up. But that's really the straw that broke the camel's back to me. Because, hey, they don't even admit they made a mistake. And what they're doing is giving you a $1,000 voucher to buy another one of their stupid cars. That's kind of insult to injury, if you ask me. Well, if you want to be a snob but you can't afford to buy a Porsche, Porsche has a subscription service which they are expanding. It's called Porsche Drive. And you can do various things. You can have a single vehicle, you can have multi-vehicle, or you can just rent the Porsche. If you just get one, it's $1,500 a month for the cheapest one they have. Now, if you want to get a 911 and race around, that's $2,600 for each 30 days, and you can only drive them 1,500 miles a month. But if you really don't have that kind of money, you can rent the cheapest one they have for $245 a day. But if you want a Porsche 911, it'll cost you $395 a day. So I guess if you really have to impress somebody for a day, it's going to cost you $395. And most people can afford that. And where have they expanded this system? What do you think? Los Angeles, La La Land, the land of facade, the land of the most fake people on the planet. So I guess maybe they find out there's enough people in LA that have a little bit of money so that they can rent it for a short period of time to try to impress people. Maybe in the hope of, if they make it big in Hollywood, then they'll actually buy one later on. I guess this is like a drug pusher, pushing drugs to people with little bits cheap and then hoping they get hooked so they pay a whole bunch more, buying more. Well, I guess Porsche's gotten to that low level now to try to get them out. And to even be in these programs, they have all kinds of rules, and one of them is to be participating in it. You have to be in a zip code that's in 50 miles, where they're either leasing or renting the thing to you. And the service is limited to participating dealers. And man alive, let me tell you, they will ream it to you if you're leasing one of these things. There's always a catch with these things, you know? Just like they say, no interest. Yeah, no interest now, but then when you pay it back, they add the accrued interest on it. And of course, they're not putting in their real fancy ones. You can't get a GT3 or a turbo for the short-term rentals. They're not going to allow that. Well, just last minute, they've expanded into LA, you know, the land of fake people. Now you can pretend that you own a Porsche and just rent it by the day or by the month. And to really show how wealthy you are, you could get the multi-lease where you can keep having different Porsches. So it looks like, wow, this guy buys a new Porsche every week. B, Econoline says, I got an 08 Econoline and the parking aid system is not working. I've changed some of the sensors, but it doesn't work. Help. You get that kind of complex technology. It's not smart to just guess. Say, oh, gee, I'll try some sensors, because the whole thing is a complex computer-run system. And if you don't have a dealer-level scan tool like I got hanging up there, you are just basically peeing in the wind trying to figure out what's wrong with that system. Test each sensor to see, is that working? Is that feeding back? Does it have any codes that there's a short in the wiring, or is the computer module going bad? They are very complicated systems, you know. And on that Econoline, they really don't work all that well anyway. I've had them, and I just found them annoying myself. The modern ones are pretty good, yeah, like the ones that I had in Lexus and Toyotas, and in the new mid-engine Corvette, they got 4 cameras, and you can really see quite well. You can see the side, the front, the back, and the other side. With cameras, they work quite well, but the actual ones in that old 08 Ford didn't work all that well in the first place. But you're going to have to take it to a guy like me if you want to analyze it, because guessing is just foolhardy. You don't know what's wrong. You tried sensors, that didn't fix it. You really need a computer to analyze what's going on. Unless you ever hit something and then look where the damage area is, you'll probably find the sensor or the wiring got damaged. If, of course, it hit something, check that. But otherwise than that, it's electronic, and you can't just guess on that stuff. Fairset says, I'm thinking about getting a convertible, but I live up north. What do you think of a convertible front-wheel drive vehicle in the winter? All right, well, numero uno, you said front-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive pulls, doesn't push. That's better in the snow. It's better to pull than push. Push, you slide all over the place. Pull, it's better. My mother lives in Buffalo. Hey, she's a Toyota Corolla front-wheel drive. Didn't even put snow tires on in the winter. So that's a good idea. Now, the convertible aspect, well, one, it's going to be colder because there's no insulation on that rag top, and so you will be cold. You have to blast the heat on a lot more. And the rag tops themselves, you know, they'll eventually crack from things getting on them, freezing, thawing, freezing, thawing. They're just a fabric. And a lot of them do leak, so you'll be sitting there and there's the snow and ice, and then as it heats up, it melts, then it starts leaking in on you. But if it's a later model one and it's not leaking yet, it's okay. But I mean, if you really want a convertible like that, get one of those modern ones that has the metal top that opens and closes and it's all metal, then you really don't have to think about it. Because if you really live in someplace where it snowed and iced a lot, the weight could even break the stupid little canvas roof. They're not that strong. That's the other thing people have to understand. You got a convertible. Don't keep anything in it, because anybody with a knife can just slash the top, reach in and take whatever they want. So, you know, they're not the safest vehicles for any kind of things you want to leave in the car, or if you got a fancy stereo, people just rip it, steal the stereo and walk off with it. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.